Okay, Carrie, so now you're coming towards the end of your PGC year. Obviously, you've had a lot to learn with being with us in a special school about the individual needs of the pupils and how their individual needs might affect their learning.
Yeah.
So could you explain a little bit about how your understanding of that has developed and how it's affected the way that you're planning for your pupils?
So I quickly learned that not all children learn the same. And the vision you have that you'll stand in front of them and they will sit there and listen was very quickly gone. So I had to engage them and use things that interested them. So it's about planning, say for a maths lesson, it's about using things that interest them, say dinosaurs or Pokemon, whereby you don't just get blocks or expect them to get a workbook and you can just give them fish or jumpers to count. You engage them with something that interests them, and then they're a lot more willing to learn.
And how did you feel that has impacted on their learning? So that you had some great ideas for some lessons, but how did that fit into your sort of bigger picture of where you wanted the pupils to go? So setting out that progression of learning. So you had the ideas that you needed to tap into their interests and do that, but you needed to be thinking about the skills that they were learning through those lessons as well.
So still using the individual educational plans and the medium-term planners, they had their targets and I had to show progression, I had to show sequences of lessons so that they did develop a skill, but within that using their interests so that they would sit down, and sometimes if I did my job, I feel correctly, they wouldn't even realise they were learning. They would think they were having fun and they were engaged, and at the end of the session they would say, are we going to do a lesson now? And it was nice to say to them, you've just done it. So yeah.
And did you find it quite challenging at times, sort of thinking about you had to work to their interests in order to help them progress, but sometimes that was obviously pushing you out of your comfort zone. But also you were constantly having to think of different ideas in order to progress them further.
Again, going back to when I first started teaching, I thought it'd be a case of if I said we were going to learn this way, we would learn this way, and I would expect them to just abide by that because they're the pupil, I'm the teacher. But very quickly picked up that it doesn't work like that. And in order to get them engaged and show the progression, you do need to get hold of their interests and use them.
Yeah, and I suppose with our children, it's a lot as well of finding different ways of doing the same thing, isn't it? Because sometimes our skill progression is much more, it takes longer with some of our children to do that. So, and you want to, teach to their interests at all times, but sometimes you have to go out of that area as well, don't you, to think outside the box a little bit.
You do. It's very much thinking outside the box. It's very much trying to engage them in like funny little things that you might have a spark of interest, and almost doing jobs within jobs. So if they're learning to pour themselves a drink, for example, get them to do it without them realising, so that it's not a heavy focus on it, but
it becomes part and parcel of what they're doing all day, every day.
And it just becomes a skill they pick up then.
Yeah, and have you found that using that sort of approach has helped you then to progress the pupils further? So you're able to assess their skills a lot more because they've been more engaged in those sessions?
Yeah, the more engaged they are with you, and the more they have little successes themselves, the more it gives them the confidence to continue. If you try and put a too big a step in, then they don't achieve it, then they want to give up. Whereas if you make it, it's almost, you could do like backward teaching, for instance. If they've got to make a piece of toast, then you could get them to do the last bit, which is just butter it. And then you could get them to put it in the toaster, then you can get it to get them out the bag. So, and gradually, you can also do it forwards, but I found with them that because they very quickly get the end result then. So if you first off get them to put the piece of toast on the plate, they've still got to wait till they get the piece of toast. However, if they just butter the toast, then they've got the piece of toast straight up. Straight away.
And have you found that your confidence has developed in incorporating these sort of activities in your planning?
Definitely.
As you've gone through the practice. So as you've learned the way these activities work and how those sequence of lessons go together, makes you a bit more confident in planning ahead?
Yeah. So when I first started on the course, I wouldn't see putting their coats on, putting their gloves on and things like that, making a piece of toast as a lesson, I would try and get that done extremely quickly in order to get 3 sit down at the table lessons done. But it's learning the skills that is important as the lessons, and then incorporating that in the planning and doing almost a sequence of lessons through the morning routine as well, as I say, with them making the toast and putting their coats on to go out to play. Should all work together. Yeah.
Well, you've obviously developed, very successfully. You're coming to the end of your year, and you're definitely succeeding it. So well done.
Thank you.